أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله. ما بعد. We thank the Almighty Allah for giving us an opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is His servant and His messenger. Today is a Tuesday, which corresponds with the 5th day of Jumad al-Ula, 1444 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also corresponds to the 29th day of July 2020. As a stand-in for your normal teacher. Alaikum salam. I thought you've traveled. So normally this is sisters only class, and there's a request that some of us help with one or two things, and you suggested that we pick some topics and then we discuss, and today we're going to look at hijab, because it was one of the topics that you requested to be treated. The Almighty Allah, when He revealed His Quran, He looked at what is best for humanity and what is best for the community. So we realize that there are laws put in place that will govern and guide the community towards what is best for the community. And most often than not, human beings do not like laws. We always want to do whatever we want to do. So there's always this conflict between what the Almighty Allah wants us to do and then what our desires want us to do. The Almighty Allah, when He created us and then brought us to this dunya, He stipulated laws that will bring sanity and then progress for the community. And part of it is hijab. I believe that hijab is the number one most construed thing in the world today, even within Muslim communities. Because sometimes you find that some Muslims feel that hijab is only, this scarf that you tie on your head and then that's it. So we can wear tight-fitting pants and then, wear exposing clothing, but so long as I have something to just cover my hair, then I'm in hijab. Some time ago, I was in a conversation with an atheist, and then part of their lamentations towards Islam is that, why is it that it's only women who wear hijab? Why is that men don't wear hijab? If Islam is really a religion of equality, then men must also put on the hijab. So I understood that a lot of people don't understand what hijab is. What is the right definition for hijab? A lot of people do not understand, even within Muslim communities. The word hijab is an Arabic word, and a hijab means partition. It's a partition. So like we have a partition between the sister side and then the brother side. This partition is a hijab. So whatever, blocks your view from seeing what is behind it is hijab. That's what it means within the Arabic, language. But then hijab within Islamic law is not only dressing. It's an act. It is an ideology. It is a concept that puts in place respect and dignity between people of the opposite gender. It's a way the Almighty Allah doesn't want us to harass each other. It's very, very important that we understand this, that societies across history have failed because they were not able to put in place this measure. With all this going on around, the rights of the woman, the protection of the community, the safeguarding of the community, there is a fast behind it in terms of the fact that the fashion industry and then the medical industry wants to make huge amounts of money, so they don't care what happens to the woman. So we realize that from time to time, there's always a type of body that the fashion industry wants the woman to have. So this type of body is the beautiful body. This type of body is the classic body. This type of body is the celebrity's body. But Islam says no. There is no a specific definition for the body of the woman. No. Because the body of the woman is not a commodity. It is not a prize for people to just see anywhere, anyhow that they want. It is her body. It belongs to her. She decides who she lets see her body. And that's what Islam says. There are conditions for hijab. The first condition is isti'ab jamil badan illa mustafna. That the hijab should be something that covers the whole body. Except there are exceptions here. The scholars have differed. And Almighty Allah spoke in Surah An-Nur verse 31 where He spoke about وَقُلِّ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. Talks about the women to lower their gaze and then who is supposed to see them and who is not supposed to see them. In the end, He spoke about the word is إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. They shouldn't expose their beautification except that is already exposed. So the scholars have differed concerning what the verse is speaking to, concerning what is exposed. Is it the face? Is it the hands? So that's where we have difference of opinion between Muslim scholars whether the face of the woman, is it an aura or not? Is the niqab wajib or not? This is where they have the bone of contention, whether the face of the woman, is it aura or not. And you have, huge, big scholars on both sides. But majority of Muslim Jews believe that the Muslim woman's face, the Muslim's face is not an aura. So they go to the point that it is not wajib for her to cover her face. That's what they go with. And they have their reasons. But then they also agree that it is best for her to have the niqab. It is best for her to have the niqab. The niqab is the best. But if she can't put on the niqab, then we're not going to force her to put on the niqab because her face is not an aura. And imams like Imam Nasiruddin al-Albani have gone to, support this opinion. And then he has a couple of hadiths for us to look at. Number one, he says the hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu. He said, Shahadtu ma Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam salat al-Eid. He said, I was with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on a day of Eid. And then after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had prayed and then he delivered khutbah, he went with Bilal to the female section. And then he spoke to them and then he gave them wa'az. And then a woman, Sufa'a al-Khabdaini, a woman who had multicolored cheeks, asked a question. So he's saying that if niqab has been wajib or the face of the woman is an aura, then Jabir would not have been able to know whether the woman's cheek is bright or it is dull or it has pimples or it has colorings or stuff like that. So based on this hadith, he feels that the woman's face is not an aura, so she is not compelled to cover her face. The second hadith is, this hadith can be found in Sahih Muslim. The second hadith is that of Ibn Abbas and Fadlu Ibn Abbas. Abdullah is from Abdullah ibn Abbas, and then but the hadith is speaking about Fadlu ibn Abbas. He says in Hajjatul Wada, in the final pilgrimage that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made, a woman, a very beautiful woman, came and then she was asking the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a question. And then Fadlu ibn Abbas, who is a cousin of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was looking at the woman. He looked at her for a long time. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam held his beard, and then he turned his face away from her. And then he went back again looking at her, and then he turned his face away from her 3 times. So they are saying if the woman had covered her face, Fadl would not have had the opportunity to be looking at her face, to the extent that he got confused because she's a beautiful woman, and then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to pull his face away. At this point, we need to make a statement concerning hijab, that the way the Almighty Allah created us as males and as females, there is what we call jadhibiyya. There's this attraction between males and females. That is why Islam is very, very mindful and very, very careful about relationships between males and females. Islam is very, very concerned. And I always believe this, that between males and females, this hijab is very, very important if we are to safeguard the community. It got to a point whereby his own father, Abbas, was telling the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, keep this young man's face away from this woman. I can see Shaitan is playing with him. So the scholars are saying that if she had covered her face at that time, then Abbas would not been had attracted to her, and then he would not be have been confused about her. Some of the scholars are saying no, this hadith is not a point for hijab or for exposing her face, because they were in Hajj at that time. And you all know during Hajj, a woman is not obliged to cover her face. But then the other group went on further to say, no, this hadith is in support of that opinion, because at that time, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had already stoned, the Jamarat, and had already slaughtered his animals. So he has already removed his ihram. So they've already taken away their ihram. So they are not in the state of ihram for them to still, expose their faces. So as I said earlier on, it is just a difference of opinion concerning scholars, whether the face of the woman is awra or not, whether the niqab is wajib or not. But they all agree that it is best for her to put on the niqab when she comes across, men and other stuff like that, if she fears any fitna. But if not, then she's allowed to expose her face based on these hadiths, and there were many more, but because we don't have time, I don't want us to dwell on only that point. So that's the first point. The hijab should cover every part of the body, and the only exceptions that some of the scholars made were the face and then the hands. Okay, if she is allowed to leave out her face, then what about makeups? Can she, so long as she's allowed to leave her face out, what about makeups? The eyebrows, you have the pencils where, you douse the eyebrows away, and then you have your pons and your pancakes, and then you douse the face, and sometimes we see you and then we can't even recognize you. Sometimes you see your wife, when she makes up, you see your wife and then you don't recognize her. You ask her, excuse me, what are you doing? The next point is Allah yakuna zinatun fi nafsihi, that the hijab itself shouldn't be a form of beautification. The hijab itself shouldn't be a form of beautification, because what was only made exceptional was that she can leave out her face and then the hands. And that if the hijab itself is the fabric itself, in itself is a form of beautification, then there is extra confusion. That is when tabarruj comes in, where women go out and then they dress shepe and nice, as we say back home in Ghana, and then they confuse everybody, and then there is traffic stop in the way, and then you find two, serious businessmen by the roadside speaking about serious business issues, and then she passed by and they get confused and they forget what they are discussing. So the dress in itself should not be a zina. It shouldn't be a form of beautification in its own self. So that is why brightly colored hijab is not accepted, because it will draw attraction to you. That is why sometimes some of dresses that you have, some of these, gold platings on it, some of these, shiny things that they put, they call them stones. You call them stones. You dress and then, you fix those stones, and then you even want everybody to see the stones. Sometimes you sew the dress and then the stones is from your neck here up down. And then when you're working, you open your arms and then as if you are helping the city sweep the streets. Because you want to draw attraction to yourself. At tabarruj, Wallahi, it is a very serious thing that you find some women feel that if they don't come out to the world, it's a problem. So you find Muslim women on TikTok with all kinds of videos. You see Muslim women on Snapchat with all kinds of videos. Muslim women on Facebook doing all kinds of videos. It's sometimes it hurts, it's painful, because these are the people who are going to nurture the next generation of responsible people. Especially when I see our teenage girls, 14, 15, 16, 17, and all these social media, doing all kinds of things. Excuse, I can't use some words here. It's frightening. Because we've been exposed to this ideology that a woman must be an independent, strong, free, self-esteemed person. So all these forms of arrogance and impunity and impudence has been pushed into the minds of our young girls, and they think that if she doesn't come on social media and then do all kinds of pictures and all kinds of videos and then, apply lip gloss on her lips and then push her lips and then to do all kinds of poses on social media, she's not a woman. And that is the pain of the age now. And that's very troubling. Imam al-Dhahabi, in his book Kitab al-Kaba'ir, says, وَمِنَ الْأَفْعَالِ الَّتِي تُلْعَنُ عَلَيْهَا الْمَرْأَةِ, amongst the activities or the things that a woman does and then she's cursed because of those things, is إِظْهَارِ الزِّينَةِ وَالذَّهَبُ وَاللُّؤْلُؤُ تَحْتَ النِّقَابِ, exposing her beautification, exposing, the makeups. And sometimes you go to, Muslim women programs, and then some of the women what do they look like? It's strange. I went to New York some few weeks ago. They said there was a naming ceremony, and the place looked like it was a jamboree because of what is going on. But Almighty Allah safeguard us. So, at Tabarruj, there's also the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, "Salathatun la tas'al anhum." There are three people, don't even bother asking about them on the day of Qiyamah. يعني لأنهم من الهالكين, because they are amongst the people who will be destroyed. He said, رجل فارق الجماعة وعصى إمامه ومات عاصيا. Any person who breaks away from the community and then he disobeys the leader and then he dies in that situation, don't ask about him on the day of Qiyamah. وأمة أو عبد أبق فمات. A slave, whether a male or a female, who deserts his master and then he dies in the desertion. وَإِمْرَأَةٌ غَابَ عَنْهَا زَوْجُهَا قَدْ كَفَاهَا مَؤُونَةَ الدُّنْيَا فَتَبَرَّجَتْ بَعْدَ. He said, and a woman whose husband is not home, and then he provides for her whatever she wants, فَتَبَرَّجَتْ بَعْدَ, and then she went out to the dunya. She went out. But does it mean that a Muslim woman cannot go out? A Muslim woman is allowed to go out. She can go to the market, she can come to the masjid, she can come to the madrasa to come and study, she can go to the hospital, she can go and visit her family. It should be that whatever she's doing has a purpose. Rather than just going window shopping. Oh, I've heard that, Macy's, they've brought in some new things, so I'm just going to go and check out. And then go and spend 3-4 hours in Macy's without buying anything. And you come back home. Where were you? I just went to Macy's to go and check out some things. No. That is not allowed for even men to. Let's understand this. We are not saying that these rulings are only peculiar to women. No. It's also peculiar to men. That is why it is not allowed for men to also wear tight-fitting pants and then, tight-fitting shirts, and then they're exposing their chests and then their abs and then they're moving around in the community. No, it is also rulings for both men and women. There's a hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, or the hadith of Aisha. Abdullah ibn Amr, he said, a woman came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to, give the allegiance. She became a Muslim, she was there to give the allegiance. And then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told her, I'm going to give you the allegiance, but on some conditions. The first one is, La tushriki billahi shay'a. If you become a Muslimah, you shouldn't associate anybody with Almighty Allah. The second one is, Wala tasriqi wala tazni. Do not steal and then do not commit adultery. The next one is, Wala taqtuli wala daki. Don't kill your child. Wala ta'ti bi buhtanin taftarinahi bayna aydayki wa rijlayki. And do not, do not create confusion. Do not create some falsehood that's to justify anything. And then do not wail. Wala tanuhi. Do not wail. Which is, if someone is dead, sometimes, sometimes women, we are soft. And then we are very caring. When someone dies, we cry, and then we tear our hairs, and then we tear our jilbab, and then we cry. No, that is not allowed. You are allowed to cry, but then wailing and then tearing off your clothes is not allowed. وَلَا تَبَرَّجِي تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. And do not go out exposed like the women of the Jahiliyyah. So realize the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in accepting the allegiance of this woman to be a Muslimah, he put the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam equated tabarruj with shirk, because it's a very, very serious issue. So my sisters, wallahi, if you want to remain on the good side of the Almighty Allah, wallahi, always be in your hijab. Wallahi. And understand one thing, wallahi, the hijab is not as people say, the men using it to oppress the woman. It's just you having the opportunity to decide who wants to see you or not. I'm surprised that sometimes in advertisement, people are advertising for a car, a Lamborghini, and then they have a woman in bikini next to the Lamborghini. I don't understand that. How is that a business? How is that advertisement? Even boxing, men punching each other on their faces. And round one, a woman is in bikini coming to pass. Round two, a woman. What's the relationship between the woman in bikini and then the boxing? What's the relationship between the woman in dressed that way and then the Lamborghini? What's the relationship?
They do it on purpose to arouse, they pair the attraction to the woman with the attraction to the car, and then when people buy it, it's the woman that is supposed to make people feel more masculine. It's a very sadistic one.
Yes, exactly. That's the answer. That they understand that there is this natural attraction between a male and a female. They understand that. They know it. And Almighty Allah knows this, so He instituted the hijab for us to protect the community. But these people, because they are all interested in making money, the idea is when we put the woman in bikini next to the Lamborghini, the man will see the Lamborghini, but he will see the woman first, and then you see his eyes is on the woman more. So that will be the stimulus that will stimulate him to buy the Lamborghini. So the woman becomes just a commodity for their use. And that's it. And then people in medicine and pharmaceutical companies are cashing out big because we are trying to see which body form is the best. Sometimes, some years ago, they believed that if you are, slim, that's the good body type. Now they're looking at chubby women. If you can be fat and beautiful at the same time. So all this is just commercial and then it's just business. But we say no, the body of our women is not for any commercial purposes. The body of our women doesn't belong out there for anybody to just choose which body is okay, which body is not. No, the body of our women belongs to us, and then we are going to what? We are going to only have access to the bodies of our women. And that's what we call protective jealousy. Ghira. So this point where it says it shouldn't be a beautification in itself, wallahi, it's a very, very important point, because the hadith that we read earlier on in Mubaya, where the women came to accept Islam during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he gave them the rulings, he equated tabarruj with shirk. That's what some of the scholars are saying, because it's a very, very serious issue in the community. The third point is that the hijab should be thick and not transparent. There is the hadith where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, سيكون في آخر أمتي نساء كاسيات عاريات. To get to a point in time where in my nation that women will be dressed but then they are naked at the same time. And we see it. You see it now. You dress and then it's a see-through dress. So there's this, material back home in Africa. I don't know if you have it here. They call it lace. Lace. When subhanallah. Allah, sometimes you go to Eid and a woman is dressed in the lace, and with all due respect, forgive me, you can see whatever she wears underneath. And then when you talk, you said, no, it's big. That's what they say. It's big. We sewed it big. It's not about the big. It's about what is being exposed. In another narration, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La yadkhulna al-jannata wa la yajidna rihaha." They wouldn't enter Jannah and then they will not even get the scent of Jannah, the fragrance of Jannah. They wouldn't get it. وَإِنَّ رِيحَهَا لَتُوجَدْ مِن مَسِيرَةِ كَذَا وَكَذَا. Even if the scent or the fragrance of Jannah can be found from so and so distance. And this is something that is going on. That a woman will buy an abaya and then the abaya is a see-through abaya. A woman can buy a material and then she sews it and then it's a see-through dress. Ibn Abdul Barr, in explaining this hadith, says when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Nisa'un kasiyatun ariyat," that the women are dressed but then they are also naked, he says, is the woman that wear dresses that are light. The dress is light, it's transparent. So whatever she wears, you can see through it. And Almighty Allah safeguard us. And it's very dangerous for the community. Wallahi. Because, excuse me, with all due respect, we live in a community whereby the community is driven by sexual passions. And everything is being done to make the woman cheap and then easily accessible for the man. So the fashion industry is also playing a role in there. So sometimes you even go to Hajj and then you go to some jilbab stores and then you see a jilbab and then you pick it up and then you can see the light through it. Because the war against the woman, because these people on the left understand one thing, that if they really want to dominate the communities, they need to pull the woman out of the home and then destroy her, and then the community is destroyed. They understand that. They've done this research and then they understand it very, very well. And then they are putting in place mechanisms to achieve that. Because if you have responsible women, then we have responsible community. And that's it. And they don't want us to have responsible communities. They want us to accept anything and everything and just anything anyhow. And the last fortress, they know the defense of the community. Whether the community is a Muslim community or not, the last defense of the community is the woman. The first and the last defense of the community is the woman. And they understand that. So they are putting in place all kinds of measures. Okay, so you said hijab, you should cover the whole body. Okay, fine. We'll find a way around it. We'll just make it transparent. So sometimes some of the abayas that are being sold, you need to put on about 2 or 3 clothes underneath before you can put the abaya on top. Because if you put it alone, it's like you're still outside there naked. May Almighty Allah safeguard us. There's a hadith of Abdullah ibn Abi Salama. Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu gave him, it's a blanket or a cloth. And it's from Egypt. But then it was very, very light. And then he told him, do not give this to your wives to wear. It's like a coat. He said, do not give these to your wives. And one of the people said, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, qad albastuha imra'ati. He said, I gave it to my wife. She went for it and came back. She put it on. but I didn't see it as a transparent one. It was not transparent. And Umar told him, إِلَّمْ يَشِفْ فَإِنَّهُ يَصِفْ. If it is not transparent, it describes the body shape. And this is also another fitna, where the abaya, they hem the middle, so you're able to know the body shape of the woman. And part of the fitna is that some of you buy the abaya, the normal one, the big one, and then you have belts. You put on a belt. You have belts without belt hooks. Sometimes you women, you are strange. Abaya and then belts without belt hooks. And it shapes the body. It's also a fitna. Sometimes you go and buy a dress and then the dress is big. No, I don't like that. So you take it to the tailor and say, no, give me shape. I want shape it. Give me, sometimes you say you want the shape of the fish. Give me the fish shape. But these kind of clothing, you can wear it in the house. The problem is going out with it. That's where the problem is. So you can have all kinds of shapes in the house. You can have the shape, the fish shape. You can have the octopus shape. You can have the crab shape or the lobster shape if you want. It's in the house. That is allowed for you. But then going out with, that's where the problem is. You can have all the beautification, all the makeups in the home. Do it. I always say this, that you women are naturally endowed with magic in the house for the men. You don't need any sheikh. You don't need any soothsayer or any charlatan to give you any concoction or anything to recite to get to the head of the man. You don't need that. The Almighty Allah has given you natural things for you to do that. The problem is that these natural things, you've sent them outside. You are showing it to the world. And then you come back home with the man and then you are in apron. And then when you are going out, that is when you spend about 3-4 hours behind the mirror with all kinds of makeups, designing your face. Sometimes how your faces look like the American flag. You meet men outside and you can't recognize them. Their faces with all forms of colorations. And then you come home and then you don't do that for the man. And then he begins to look outside. I'm not supporting him looking outside. No. He begins to look outside and you're complaining, Wallahi, Sheikh, my husband, I don't seem to understand him nowadays. He doesn't look at me nicely and charmingly. He's always on his phone and stuff like that. Your face is there, bare. And then on the phone, he can see all these things free of charge. I'm not supporting him. No. I'm not supporting what he's doing that it is right. No. I'm saying that you can mitigate some of these things by going to buy all those nice, beautiful things. That will, let me tell you, the Almighty Allah said, Zuyyina linnasi hubbu shahawati minan nisa'i. The Almighty Allah has made men attractive to men. That's how the Almighty Allah did it. But then the attraction, you need to garnish it. When you are cooking, you add salt, you add pepper, you add some spices, and then, you add all these things, and then to make the food very, very nice, you garnish it. You don't leave the rice like that. You don't leave the sauce like that. You garnish it. That's how you do with your own life. You garnish it, and then even if he's Hayya al-Salah, he doesn't want to go to the Masjid because of you. The fourth point is that it shouldn't be tight-fitting, as we said earlier on. It should be loose. It shouldn't show your body shape and then your body size. Because the moment it shows your body shape and then your body size, and then it's no longer hijab. It's like free for everybody else outside. The fifth one is that it shouldn't be perfumed. And this is a point I will spend some time on. Perfumes have become a problem for us. There's the hadith of Abi Musa al-Ash'ari. He said the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, أيما امرأة استعطرت فمرت على قوم ليجدوا من ريحها فهي زانية. Any woman who applies perfume and then she passes by men and then they smell the fragrance of that perfume, she is as equal as if she's committed adultery. This hadith is found in Nasai and Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi. There is a hadith of Zainab al-Thaqafiyya. that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إذا خرجت إحداكن إلى المسجد فلا تقربن طيبا. That if you are coming to the masjid, do not apply perfume. If you are coming to the masjid, to the Almighty Allah, He's saying He doesn't need you to apply perfume. So what if you are going to Macy's or you're going to JC Penney? This hadith found in Sahih Muslim. Another hadith in Sahih Muslim by Imam Abu Huraira, where he says, أَيُّمَ امْرَأَةٍ أَصَابَتْ بَخُورًا فَلَا تَشْهَدْ مَعَنَا الْعَشَاءَ الْأَخِيرَةَ. If any woman applies perfume, she shouldn't come to Salat al-Isha. She shouldn't come to Salat al-Isha. There is this hadith of Abu Huraira which is very, very scary on this same point, where he said one day he met a woman whose fragrance, her perfume was so strong. And then he asked her, Ya Amat al-Jabbar, oh, the servant of al-Jabbar, the servant of the Almighty Allah, Al-Masjid al-Turidin, are you going to the masjid? قالت نعم. She said yes. قال وله تطيبت. Is it because of going to the masjid that's why you applied perfume? He said نعم. قال فرجعي فاغتسلي. Go back and perform the ghusl of janaba. فإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ما من امرأة تخرج إلى المسجد تعصف ريحها فلا يقبل الله منها صلاة حتى ترجع إلى بيتها فتغتسل غسلها للجنابة. He said, I heard the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم says, if a woman going to the masjid and then she's just perfumed, the Almighty Allah will not accept for her any salah until she goes and then she performs her janaba ghusl. This is how serious it is. Excuse me, perfume is an aphrodisiac for men. It raises people's desires. And already, we've already understood, the position of men and women in Islam. And then there is this issue of perfume. Got to a point whereby some women are saying, I don't like the perfume from the Arab world. It doesn't have alcohol in it. She prefers perfumes from, Paris and stuff. It's very powerful, it's very nice, it's very catchy. This perfume, even if you have a gallon of it in the house and you want to use it on yourself in the house for a husband, that's your business. Almighty Allah doesn't have a problem with it. Yes, the whole gallon. You bath with the perfume in the house. It's okay. It's accepted. The kind of perfume that Islam allows a woman to wear is that it should be the kind of perfume that if only I get closer to you, that is when I can smell it. And that's it. So it's not saying that Islam doesn't allow you to have perfumes. No. Islam only allows you to put on a perfume that unless I get closer to you, that is when I can feel the fragrance. And that's it. But the kind of perfumes that we use today now, if I pass here, even after 10 minutes you've come in, no, it's not accepted. It's not allowed. Point number 6. Your dressing should not resemble that of men. So you can't wear pants belonging to men. You can't wear shirts belonging to men. Of course, there are unisex dresses depending on the culture that you are from. That's okay. There's the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu where he said, لَعَنَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ الرَّجُلَ يَلْبِسُ لِزْبَةَ الْمَرْأَةِ وَالْمَرْأَةَ تَلْبِسُ لِبْسَ الرَّجُلِ. That the Almighty, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam cursed any man who wears women dressing and then any woman who wears men dressing. This point, it's a very, very important point for us concerning the kind of times that we are in. Especially your kids that you are nurturing now. Be very careful the kind of dressing you put on them. This is how they come up and then they come and tell us, they come and bring all kinds of theory that these young people, he's a boy, but then he feels he's a girl. So we need to have a gender reorientation for him. This is how some of these things start. That no, when I went to the hospital some time ago, I think it's a few weeks ago, and then I was asked, what is your gender? And I told the nurse, look at me, what do I look like? He said, no, it's policy now, we must ask so that people will not get offended. I said, I'm not offended. When you look at me, what do I look like? He said, male. I said, write it there. This is where we've gotten to now. So if we are not careful about some of these points that we are raising, wallahi, this is the kind of issues that later develop and then it turns into something different. So be very careful concerning what you put on the kids. Because if he's a young boy and then you continue dressing him like a girl, and then giving him female toys to use, when he is about 10 years and then this thing has passed through him and then he begins to tell you that, mommy, I'm a girl, and then you start to complain. Why are you complaining? You sowed the seeds already. Let the boys understand that they are boys. Let the girls understand that they are girls, and that's it. We have only two genders. It's either you are male or you are female, and that's it. But then all these ideologies and all these things stem out from the fact that people just want to have loopholes to just destroy the community. So every day they keep on adding the gender. Last time I checked, it's 64. I don't know now, maybe it's 128. They are going according to the size of the iPhones now. From 64 is 128. Next time is 256, and then you realize they are around 520 something.
I have a question.
Now.
Like about perfume.
Now.
Because most of imams say that it's okay to use perfume.
Now. And I'm saying that there's nothing wrong with using the perfume. The only thing is I shouldn't hear the fragrance. It's not confusing.
Most of the imams say that it's okay to use perfume.
You understand? When you pass, nobody's to say, she's using Christian Dior. No. That's it. It should be that if only your sister or your friend hugs you, oh wow, Aisha, your perfume is very nice. But if you pass, they can't hear it. But if they come closer to you, they hear it, then that is what is accepted for a woman in Islam. But if you pass by and you say, she's using Chanel Coco, no. Then that is not accepted.
But if you go on your sisters, it's only the sister you can wear.
Yes, the issue is this. The problems we are facing in our communities now, some people say they are women, but then they love women too. So Islam is very careful about these things, that we don't open an inch to expand. No. Islam doesn't allow that. So fine, it's normal that she hugs you. You come to the masjid or you meet somewhere and then you hug your sister and then she smells the fragrance. Oh no, you're using this perfume. That's okay. But then if you pass by and then we smell the fragrance of the perfume, then that's why it becomes a problem. So let's revisit the point again. We are not saying that perfume is totally haram for the woman. That's not what the point is.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Okay, point number 6 is it shouldn't resemble the dresses of men. Point number 7 is it shouldn't resemble that of non-Muslims. So if a dress is
Thanksgiving. Muslim law. I'm not
Thanksgiving.
celebrate that I make a turkey.
okay.
And eat.
Okay, for Thanksgiving, we Muslims we only have 2 festivals. That is Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. But if you live in a country where Thanksgiving is a holiday, you can't get up and say you are going to work when the work is not going to be there. So you don't partake in that activity, and that's it. That's all. But then you can decide to cook your food and then eat, and you can't say because that day people cook and eat, you won't cook and eat. No. You die. If you die, the Almighty Allah will punish you for that. Okay, so you cook your food and then you eat. I can see there's controversy on this issue. Okay, you let me finish this point and then you can ask your questions. I'll give you the next 10 minutes for you to ask your questions. So it shouldn't resemble that of men. It should resemble that of non-Muslims. So if a particular dressing is specific for non-Muslims, let's say the nuns or the cross or stuff like that, your hijab shouldn't be like that. And then finally, it shouldn't be a dress that will show your arrogance, being pompous. Do you know how much I bought this hijab? Even in Makkah, it's not everybody who can get it. I bought it in the Burj Towers there. It cost about $5,000. Now you are turning into something else. So it shouldn't be a dress that will let you feel, if you come to the Masjid, it's not everybody that you want to touch your dress. Do you know this dress? No. That in itself is not a form of hijab. So you don't buy hijabs that are over your income too. And then you don't buy too cheap clothes to say you because of your level of iman. Me, I only buy hijab $2, and then you have enough money to buy nice things for yourself. That is also not accepted. So in Islam, 2 extremities is not accepted. It's just that you should be in the middle path. We have a lot of things to discuss, but I know you have questions, so I'll stop here and then you can ask your questions, inshallah, maybe on the topic or not. But let's come back to Turkey. The issue is with Thanksgiving. Turkey is halal for you to eat because it's a bird, and it is not a bird that is not hands. That is number 1. Number 2, what is the origin of Thanksgiving? I believe they said the early white folks when they came here and after harvesting their food, whatever, and they reserved the last Thursday of November to thank the Almighty for granting them a successful planting season. So it just became something. You don't have any business with that. We thank the Almighty Allah every day. You don't have any specific time of thanking the Almighty Allah. That's number 1. Number 2, we don't have any specific day for eating turkey or eating goat or sheep. You can eat it throughout the year. So don't reserve eating turkey only on Thanksgiving Day. The moment you reserve eating turkey only on Thanksgiving Day, I want to ask you why. But if it becomes coincidental, for example, last week they brought some turkey here to the Masjid to come and give. Me, I've not even eaten turkey before. So I took the opportunity to taste turkey and see how it is. So it's something like that. Okay, the most important thing is your belief. It's important. Let's understand one thing. Your belief. What do you believe in? Do you believe in that, yes, Thanksgiving we can celebrate it, then then that becomes a question. That becomes a problem. You've got my answer. Your belief is very, very important. So some of the scholars are of the opinion that even avoiding it is the best. Because sometimes there is this gray area between black and white. There's this gray area. And these gray areas, most often than not, we fall in there and then we find problems in there. So best thing is just leave it. That's all. And whether you eat staki or you don't eat staki, if it's time for you to die, you die. Khairan inshallah. Any question? Now, further.
With wearing makeup in the house, are there certain types of makeup that should be avoided in the sense that it may complicate your wudu? Or is there, like, generally it's okay?
Of course, that's a very brilliant question. That in terms of makeup, is there a type of makeup that is accepted because concerning wudu? For example, if you're going to do a very nice, strong, attractive makeup for your husband between Zuhr and Asr, when it's Asr time, you have to perform wudu, and then performing the wudu, you need to clean everything up, and it becomes a problem. So you have this in mind. It's a very good question. You have this in mind that no, maybe from Fajr to Zuhr, there is enough time, so you can have the makeup and then please your husband, get your reward, enjoy yourself. But between Zuhr and Asr, because there's no much time, you can just have light makeup, and then between Maghrib and Isha at the same time, and after Isha, Hatta Matulay al-Fajr, and that's your business. That's fine. Well, that's a very important point, because back home in Ghana, I realized that some people, some brides, on the day of their marriage, do not even perform Salah at all. They don't perform Salah. You're surprised? Yes, because of the heavy makeup. And because they bring in specialists and, all kinds of makeup artists to come and make them up. And every outing has its own makeup and its own dress. So sometimes their faces change from the American flag to the Canadian flag, and sometimes they go to the Mexican flag and stuff like that. And it's a very important point that you raised. Wallahi. So even though it is halal for you to have the makeup for your husband, you should consider some of these rulings where issue of time for salah and stuff like that. Thank you very much.
The same thing, like, let's say you have wudu
No.
and you have the makeup. Can you pray with the makeup?
Yes, if you have wudu and then after doing your wudu, you have your makeups do not nullify the wudu. So you can have your wudu and then you have your makeup and then you go and do your salah. It's okay. It's fine. Okay.
I apologize. Similar question. Are there certain kinds of makeup or certain kinds of ingredients that may block the water from getting to the skin and make you?
Yes, that's also very, very important. That do you have some makeups that will block the body from getting water? That's very, very important. Sometimes some of you pancake the face with layers and coats and layers and coats, to the extent that when you do like this, it's all makeup. So please, within that context of makeups, you do your wudu and then you apply your makeup. But then if it gets to the point whereby you need to redo the wudu, then sometimes some of you need to even wash your whole face before you can even, have wudu, because it's important that the water touches the body. And don't forget, pleasing the Almighty Allah comes first before pleasing anybody else. And if you try and have that, conviction, the Almighty Allah will safeguard you in your marriage, inshallah. The question?
My question was, same with the makeup.
No.
Like, you have some sisters that wear the fingernail polish.
No.
And with the coating of the fingernail polish,
No.
the water can't hit the nail.
No.
But now they have this new fingernail polish out that claim that the water can hit the nails, and
No.
a lot of sisters wear that and say,
Even call it halal.
yes, they call it halal.
Okay, I understand the
nail polish.
question. So if it is halal, why must you call it halal?
Exactly. But when you mention that to the sisters, a lot of them, they be like, it's halal. It says it's halal.
You see, the issue is this, that as I said earlier on, the fashion industry is very smart. They know you need to perform ablution. They know it. So they just want to find ways around it. My sister, you've coated the nail. You've applied one layer, 2 layers on it. And you still want to tell me that the water will touch the nail. No. With all due respect, it doesn't make sense. You have a tape, a transparent tape, and then you tape your finger. And then you come and perform ablution and say, oh, it is still touching. It won't. Just avoid it and then be free. Okay? You have henna. You are allowed to do that. It's even more beautiful. Just do the henna. It's allowed. It is halal. The water touches the nails and stuff like that. You're free. But then the problem is that you want to belong in some clique, some group. So you want to have a nail polish. Some even have nail extensions. You see them and they are like new witches. Don't Allah safeguard us. So avoid it and then you'll be free. That's your question.
You was talking about the color clothes.
Yes.
And most of our African clothes is colorful.
No.
And has
Yes, I understand that. Yes, we talk about the color. Yes, that is why you can have those dresses and be at home. That is number one. Number two, there are some colors that are not that bright and attractive. Blue is, for example, one. And then always try as much as possible to have color combinations that will dim the color. Tone it down. It's very important. Because the number one thing is not about it's not about what you want exactly all the time. Let's understand one thing. In life, there's nothing like absolute freedom. I'm free to do whatever I want to do. If you don't believe it, when you close from the masjid, when you are going, drive through the red light and then you see. That's why you realize there's no absolute freedom. So let's live within the teachings of Islam and what the Almighty Allah wants from us. Inside, we can do whatever we want to do. That is allowed. Any other question?
I have a question.
Okay, let us.
Like referring to the nail polish thing, like if let's say someone's not in the state of where they're not praying, could they wear it?
Yes, contemporary imams have different opinions there. That already the nail polish, that is number one. It doesn't change the original, nature of the nail. So there's nothing wrong with that. And already you might be in a state whereby you have your monthly visitor, and then you'll not be obliged to have, ablution. So you can use those nail polishes so that anytime your visitor leaves and then you're going back into the state of perform ablution and praying salah, then you can scrape it off and then you can go back.
I have something to add on it because one of the sisters said it's not good because you don't know when you will die.
Oh, the issue
Because
is
you can be like the death can come in and you
no.
have
Yes,
the
yes,
death
that's true. You don't know when you're going to die, but then the issue is, so long as it is not haram. I hope you get it. So long as it is not altering the nature of your nail and then your body, it's not haram. It only becomes a problem if whatever cosmetics or whatever you're going to apply, it's altering the nature of your body, then it becomes haram. That is why you don't know when you're going to die. Oh, okay, you get it. So any form of beautification that does not alter the nature of your natural body, it is allowed. So for example, you can't use these nail polishes when you are in the state of your ibadah and stuff like that because the water of the ablution cannot get to it. But then if, for example, you have a monthly visitor and then maybe for a couple of days, 3, 4, 5 days, you will not be obliged to offer salah, can I use this as a form of beautification? Some scholars say it's okay because that in itself is not haram. That in itself is not haram. It only be haram is haram whether your visitor is in or is not in. But then in this case, since it is not haram, then it is allowed. Okay.
So the acrylic, the fake nails, that's haram. Like whether if you had the monthly visitor or no.
Yeah, some of these things I need to research. Some things are very particular to women, and then we need to research more. So I can't give you a definite answer on that.
Oh.
But then, if it is not altering the original, then. But if this is altering, then it becomes haram. Yes, my sister. Any other question?
That goes for I know you gotta go, but that goes for the false hair and stuff.
Yes. You already say it's false.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
you're trying to deceive us, and we refuse to be deceived that way. Anyway, I think it's time for Salah. They'll start the Salah right now. Thank you very much for cooperation, and Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, tomorrow Imam Noor will take over, and then next week we'll have another session again, inshallah. Thank you very much. And if I've used any word or any expression that was not comfortable with you, please forgive me. And you can send that through Sister Alia, and then she'll let us know, because we don't often have female only lectures. Most of them are not. We'll have male. So we are used to using the male pronoun and stuff like that. So we might have used some words that was not okay between a male and a female. and forgive us, inshallah. Thank you very much. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.